he was running away, they grabbed his breeches, pulled him down around his ankles.
And then they began to beat him. The situation just completely got out of control. And
he didn't have a chance.
The roundup of prisoners, dazed, shell-shocked Nazis, remnants of the once proud Afrika Korps, whole divisions of Italians, abandoned by their German masters, gave up, begged to be captured.
the first place that American troops would enter the war offensively would be against the Afrika Korps in North Africa. And by April of 1943, the Afrika Korps was cornered in surrender.
Here, the Nazi goal of conquest is buried in the sands of Africa.
And the United States then came into possession of 275,000 prisoners of war, one of which was Johann Kuhn. Kuhn came from North Africa, probably on a Liberty ship to Norfolk, Virginia.
And then they put him on a train, and he came across America and ended up in Tonkawa.
They certainly weren't in North Africa anymore.
A meal of United States Army field rations is quite a banquet for members of the elite German Afrika Korps.
Their lives were not in jeopardy.
Johann Kuntz was taken to a prisoner of war camp in Tonkawa, Oklahoma. The POW camp in Tonkawa was one of many camps in our nation's heartland during World War II.
The government showed up in 1942 looking for an area around here. We do know they liked the site because it was rural, agricultural.
That's one of the virtues of it. It's in the middle of the country, and as you say, where are you going to go?
So it was isolated. It was kind of hard to escape and go anywhere, and there was agriculture around here for the prisoners to work.
And I think that the resurgence of Oklahoma begins in the 1940s primarily because of the enormous number of military facilities that appeared here.
Oklahoma was selected for prisoner of war camps to help alleviate the agricultural labor shortage. The routine of these soldiers varied. The non-commissioned officers did not have to work, and many of them did not work. The privates, though, could be made to work. And many of them were sent out to work on farms, to do conservation work. And so they had essentially two different groups of prisoners.
With two groups of prisoners came two distinct ideologies.
They come now, defeated men, to the confinement behind barbed wire. Some were still arrogant, reluctant to raise their hands in defeat.
You are going to find that there are those who remained committed to the party and the Nazi ideology. And those who simply found themselves doing their duty.
Though opinion was split on Hitler. certain views were widespread in World War II Germany.
Anti-Semitism, of course, was a very strong element in Nazi Germany.
No one could be in doubt that the Nazis were an anti-Semitic party and the Jews living in the country would be persecuted. The Nazi ideology is something that is not completely separate from German patriotism, German nationalism. They take all those strands and they weave it together with other ideas.
People tend to bring the same cultural baggage with them, whatever environment they find themselves in. And if they had differences with one another in Germany, then transporting them to Africa and then bringing them into the middle of Oklahoma is not going to alter those perceptions.
There were still a lot of hardcore POWs who believed to the very last minute that they're going to win that war.
40 days of torrential attacks by the Allied forces had torn the best of Hitler's armed might into shreds and tatters.
I mean, this is what they were grown, the way they were raised. And they believed that even there were POWs in America being 6,000 miles away from home, they still believed they can do it. And I have no doubt, but there were other people who learned there was no way to win that thing.
They chose the only sensible way out. They chose surrender.
For these Nazis, the war is over.
Those who were still committed ideologically would argue it's not over. They would also, I would think, propose that we need to find a way to get out of here and get back into the conflict.
And I can imagine there was a lot of confrontation taking place among those POWs in these different camps in America.
Confrontations between prisoners were common, that happened largely outside of American control.
The U.S. Army controlled the camps during the day.
We mean business in this war in a political and humanitarian sense.